Oh, whoops.
That's why I made 4.
Oh.
Which is the rule of thumb. Always make more than you need because you never know if someone's going to drop your favorite piece on the ground.
Oh,
Drop your favorite
oh
piece.
man.
No, I didn't. But, I mean, I have accidentally turned around and walked into someone. I have accidentally walked into a wall with my piece. You know, like turn around and hits the door frame or something. Yeah, that's not fun. It is kind of funny, actually. You feel stupid. Okay, so these are my little clay peanuts. They're a little big. Don't have to be that big.
They're like kiwis. Like kiwis.
Yeah. So, you know, think about it. I have 4 pieces right here, right? And I have these, so eventually these are going to dry out and they'll lose their stickiness. So, you know, you got to make sure you have your hand, or clay on hand, and also keep your clay covered. You know, if you're not using it, cover it back up, right?
Drop it.
You are.
I need a bigger tool.
What? Need a what?
I need one of those big loop tools. It's a trimming tool, but it's like a big loop.
Oh, I got one.
No, it's bigger than that. Yeah, that works.
That's all right. No, I actually have one. It's that size.
Almost done with that? I'm going to try it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
Did you see that, Sid?
Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody gonna
We
pass
ever
it
gonna
back?
get our like little tool set?
Yeah, actually, I'm picking up your tool sets after school. They came in this afternoon. I'm picking up right after school today. Okay? So you guys will get them. I want you, these are yours. Okay, they're not the school's. These are yours. Please write your name on all your tools. Just get a Sharpie so that way you have all your tools. You'll have trimming tools, a wire tool, all that. So if you lose it, that's your own deal. Okay? All right. First thing is check the thickness. You can do one thing by putting your finger on the inside and tapping it. This takes time to learn because then you can feel, is it thick, is it thin? I kind of know my bottom stops right here, so I have about a ½ inch of clay that I can mess around with. So I actually trim less than that off because I don't want to make the bottom so thin that it's weak after it's fired. Okay. So this is how you'll center. Wherever your finger touches the clay, you stop the wheel and it was over there. The other method that you can do is use a pencil and get it off center. Wherever that pencil line is, you find the center of it and then you push towards the center of this wheel. Just a little bit, and you go a little bit at a time. That was actually too much.
Oh my god.
You're gonna drive me insane.
Cesar, how long do you say this takes to get used to?
Probably a day.
Yeah. So I mean, it's relatively quick, and you'll kind of figure it out. And, you know, you got to remember this is just the demo. This wheel needs to be fixed. I'll fix it. There we go. Okay. Now the way I do it is like this. Okay. I can teach you how to do that method. That's called tap centering, because obviously you tap center. It takes time to learn, but once you have it, you fly through it. Okay. So these little clay peanuts, you push down. You don't push in, because if you push in, you could break your piece. So you just push straight down, and that should work. The other thing that could happen is it could go off center. Notice that I'm pushing also at the same time. Now I asked you guys to have one piece ready for Friday to talk about. Okay? So you might want to make 2 or 3. Keep them uncovered except for putting a piece of plastic just right on top. So that way the sides and the bottom dry out a little bit before the top does. And then spend one whole class period just trimming. Okay? So I want to get rid of this here, this side, this chunk, and I want to make a foot ring. So I'll put in kind of like guidelines with my finger. So I know what I want my foot ring to be. Is it big enough? Is it too small? Right? Because once the clay's gone, you can't put clay on. So always trim a little at a time. I always put a finger in the center of the pot to push down gently, and then I start trimming. So the amount you trim off the side really is dependent on what you want your pot to look like. You're not going to start trimming all the way down here unless you really, really have to. But in my case, I have this design, which I couldn't. So I'm limited to only this bottom section. So I usually try to get my outside figured out before I do my trimming on the inside. Right, so you see how I just pulled that in? Why am I making a smaller foot? Well, why is it physically narrower than what I have already here? What is that going to do for this piece?
It will make it lighter.
What else would it make it do? That's correct. Anybody else?
Is it easier to keep down?
No, it'll make it look lighter on a table. It'll look like it's springing up from the table as opposed to just being like glued to the table. So I'm making it visually lighter. I got my outside. I know this is not fun to watch, but try to pay attention to what my hands are doing and not so much what I'm saying. You're visual learners.
Yeah,
I hope.
I do.
Right, now you see how I'm carving out the clay here? And this is the part that will probably take the most time. And then what I'll do is I'm tapping on it because I need to know how thin it is, and it's pretty thin. Now the inside of the clay here, or sorry, the inside of the foot ring needs to line up. This line here needs to line up with this line. Does everybody understand that? So when you look at it, visually it's curving at the same angle right here. Okay? All right, let me touch this up a little bit. I'm using the corner of the blade. Just a little bit of water because you want to smooth out your edges. You don't want them to be sharp. I like to smooth away a lot of this stuff. Now I actually use a rubber rib. I'll bring mine in. They're really cool. It's by a company called Mud Tools, and they come in different kind of resistance qualities. So some are really soft, some are really, really tough and firm. And you can basically smooth out your sides here, and that's what this is for. What's this called?
The rib.
There you go. There's a nice foot ring. The corners are all rounded off, right? It's not too thick. I usually do double the width of the rim. That's just my little thing that I do. I don't know if it's actually taught that way. I don't think so. Peel these off. And sometimes you'll trim and you realize, oh, it's still too thick. line it back up, take off more. You know, this is the time to do that, and be conscious about it. There we go. A little piece. Now imagine a little handle coming off this thing, right? So